They're linked with a number of players, and they're also open to selling a few players as well, a handful of their current first team, in order to bring in Erik ten Hag's targets: Harry Maguire, Sancho, Martial, Fred, McTominay, Elanga. There's also been ongoing contract discussions with David De Gea. To discuss all of that now, the former Manchester United forward, 1999 treble winner, proper legend, it's Dwight Yorke. Hello.
Morning, Dwight.
Morning, Dino. Morning, guys. What's up?
I hope you're all right. Dwight, a target for Erik ten Hag, who he's been pursuing for a while now, Mason Mount. What's your thought on him coming to Manchester United? And do you think they should do everything they can to get it over the line and get him in before they go off to Oslo for pre-season in July?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's a fantastic buy if we get him and we get him over the line. I really do like the look of Mason Mount. I've followed him and watched him a few times. I think he's got that little X factor somehow, this season, probably because of injuries or out of form or for whatever reason. I just think maybe a change will bring out the best in him, and certainly United will present him with a very good opportunity to do that.
Dwight, the front three that he plays just doesn't seem quite right at the minute. I mean, who would you add, or what do you think he needs to do? I mean, Rashford's nailed on. He's got 30 goals last season, but up the middle, Martial, not really for me. Sancho's a worry for me.
Weghorst has gone back.
Weghorst, not good enough. And then Anthony, bit of a worry as well. I mean, I don't know what you think.
Oh, yeah, I think you pretty much you got a football IQ, and you've been in the game long enough, and you watch enough games like we all do now. And certainly, the number 9 spot is obviously an issue and well documented. I think Anthony Martial has been there for, nearly 7 years. You wouldn't have thought that, but he's been there a long time. I know he's had his little bit of an injury, but the moment you leave as a top player to go on loan at 26, 27, that's a worry. That's a red flag for me. No one does. Your best players doesn't leave your club and suddenly go on loan and come back and get into that. It didn't work with Jesse. It's certainly not going to work with Anthony. I think he's had his time, personally speaking. And so that doesn't surprise us in any way or form that he's likely to leave the club if they can get rid of him.
Who would you go and get as a centre forward?
Well, I think Harry Kane, because we got to really close the gap on City. If we don't, you don't have time to integrate and to think, we got another year or two. I think on the back of the little success that United have had this season, they got to close the gap and they got to nail that number 9 spot. I think in the wide areas we are fine. I think if Mason Mount just come there, he will then give us a little bit more in that, could probably play a 10 occasionally. I think that's a position he might be able to influence the game a little bit more. But certainly we got enough wide players, enough happening in those wide areas. So that's not a concern. Number 9 for me is where. And, if we can't get Harry Kane, we got to go for that other kid at Napoli. I think he looks, but he's untested, certainly in the Premier League.
You've got Garnacho, the young Garnacho. I mean, I like the look of him, Dwight. Every time he comes on the pitch, he shows the others what enthusiasm is.
He's got great personality, hasn't he?
Yeah, fabulous. I mean, he's young. We all remember when we were 19, you play with a free flow, you play with good spirit, good energy, and he's a fantastic player. So there's another one that we could add to that equation that gives us that a little bit of an X factor. And he's seemed to be growing into being a Man United player, and still he's only young, relatively young. So he's only going to get better with the opportunity that has been given. So I'm not concerned by that. The spinal of our team is a bit of a concern, and that's where we need to look and focus in those, central part of our team.
Are you happy with Martinez and Varane being your 2 centre-backs, Dwight, or do you think that needs reinforcements as well? I mean, Phil Jones has left now, I think, hasn't he? You've got Harry Maguire. It looks like he's going to leave. I mean, I would if I was Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw was playing centre half in front of me. I wouldn't. It's embarrassing. I wouldn't stay. I'd just leave.
Well, you got to have something about yourself when you get to that sort of situation where you're not playing at all, and you got people who are coming in from their position and playing ahead of you. It's a no-brainer, really, to be fair. And as much as it hurt when you leave Man United, we've all been in that position. It's like no other club and da-da-da. You got to look after your career. He's at that age now. He's got to move on. I think that's just simple as. In terms of the 2 centre-halves, I am happy with both of them. But the worrying concern, like we have seen this season, is the injury. Veron is pretty much injury prone. When he comes in, we look a very solid and accomplished. Martinez is obviously a little bit untested, but he's shown his quality in the team. When we played, we look a lot more together in that organization in the back. But we know with injuries, who then comes in to fill that void when one of them get injured? And we have struggled in that position.
There seems to be quite a lot for Manchester United to have to do over the course of this summer in terms of places where you think, just listening to what you say, they've got to strengthen. Not sure they've got the budget to do all of that. So when the discussions come up about David De Gea and the talks of a contract negotiation for him, do you think it's almost a formality that he will accept some sort of wage drop in order to stay at the club? Because that's a position where they don't want to go out and spend 45, 50, 60 million pounds.
Well, to begin with, we're going to spend 45, 60 million pounds on a goalkeeper at this current in this current market. The reality is, I know a lot of people has been pointing the finger at De Gea, and he has made some major mistakes this season. But overall, he is not that bad. He's been our best players for a lot of seasons running. He's won, Player of the Year 4 years in a row, and people got short memories. You all will always remember that. Sometimes don't wish for what you think of sometimes, because the reality is you go out there to get another goalkeeper and he may not be as good as what we got here. So, this is somebody who's just won, the Golden Glove. You can't ignore that. There's a reason why.
And Dwight, you've managed yourself. Sorry, Dwight. Sorry, you've managed yourself, and you a matter of time before you get another job. And do you look at Ten Hag and think he's on the right track? He's doing really well. Or do you think there's few things you would do differently that he's doing?
Well, there is always some elements when you look at how managers operate and you try to, put yourself in that position. He's got to be a little bit more aggressive, in my opinion. He's got to be a little bit more ruthless with some of the players in terms. And, his career as a manager is on the line. He's the one at the end of the day is likely to get the sack. So you got to be aggressive with people. You got to be transparent with the players, with the board, and let them know exactly. And we need to close the gap. There's some harsh decisions within the club need to be made. And as a manager, you like all the players. You got to try and do the right thing, but you got to be ruthless at the same time. But you got to be honest with the players and honest with the owners and them in terms of getting what you want. In terms of if we were to compete against City, it's simple as that.